Alright, hi everyone. Welcome to NASA's Hunter Clinic. Just gonna give you a brief rundown of what we're gonna go over. So, what I have planned is how we judge every one of our hunter classes. So, our hunter and equitation classes, hunter fences, hunter under saddle, equitation on the flat, pleasure classes, all of those. They all follow the general same guidelines, just some divisions have certain preferences over the others, and I'll go more into detail on that. I'll also go over callouts for different gates, because each division, well, equitation versus regular hunters, they have different gate callouts, which which actually got a lot of people in our last show, our last equitation show, Eck on the Flat. It was really funny. The judge, both the judges, so me and Hyunki, we were both laughing in it. At it in our group chat. It got everyone, so don't feel singled out. It got everyone. Don't worry. And then I'll also like dive deeper into what each division like can ask for. I have a whole like note sheet that I'm gonna be reading from, or that I'm looking at. I'll post it after the clinic's over, so you guys can look over it yourself. I'm also recording this clinic, and I'll post it to YouTube if it lets me. Sometimes my files are corrupted for no reason. So I'll try my best if it will let me upload this clinic to our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it if you want. But I'm just gonna ask that you guys save your questions for the end, or when I ask if there's any questions, just so I don't like lose my my flow throughout this clinic, because I get distracted very easily. As some of you who know me already from clubs, I do get just distracted very easily. Some ADHD things, but that's all right. That's all right. So let's start with over fences. So over fences is judged 20% on your turnout and 80% on your course. So your dress code, your horse's breed, your horse's level, your horse's soundness, which we judge off of your horse's mood, has a pretty big impact on your overall score for over fences. So our turnout, like I said, our turnout is consisted of breed suitability, which can be found on our website. We have a whole list of all the breeds that we allow on our shows, along with their breed suitability score. They're out of 10. So the highest is 10, the lowest is 2, I believe. Your horse's level, obviously it's out of 15, because 15 is the highest level you can have. Horse's soundness, which is also out of 15. I'll go deeper into how we score that. And then your dress code. We have a really detailed dress code on our website, and if you ever have questions about the dress code, you're more than welcome to ask in also questions. We just ask that you don't like spam us with pictures saying like, is my outfit okay? Or like, does this count? Just like, if you have like a specific question about the dress code, you're fine to ask it there. Just don't constantly spam pictures. Normally people already asked it. And in Discord, you can do this cool function. If you do Control F on your keyboard, or if you do Command F if you have an Apple computer, you can type in keywords there, and it will bring up a message from the past. And you might find your answer there instead of having to ask one of us. But obviously, we're more than happy to help. We're not mean. We don't bite. But after running an organization for almost 3 years, it can get a bit annoying when people spam us with pictures of their dress code and be like, is this okay? Is this okay? And we're like, yep, it's good. You can wear that. And they're like, they send another one. Can I wear this too? Like, oh my, it's okay. So we do our breed suitability scores based on the horse's build, their conformation, and their movement. Now, every different organization prefers different types of movements, prefers different builds, so not every breed suitability score will be the same across every single organization. I'm not sure exactly what orgs do breed suitability, because it's relatively like a newer thing in the showing community. I know that HJFJ and TIP does it. I'm not sure about any other ones though, but it's always good just to check the website. Don't just to make sure like you know what each server or showing organization prefers to see in their shows. Obviously, if you use a horse that doesn't have like the maximum breed suitability score, it's not going to affect your score that much. Like if you ride a horse that's 8 or 6, most Gen 3 horses have a breed suitability score of 10 or 8. So you really won't get heavily penalized. It might cost you like 0.1 of your score over fences. So don't be too intimidated by the breed suitability score. Don't be like, oh my gosh, my favorite roleplay horse, I can't use it because it doesn't have a 10. Like, you know, it's okay. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. So your horse's level, obviously, for almost all hunter divisions, actually, yes, for all hunter divisions for NALSA, we want to see a maximum level horse because that shows that they're trained, they're, for roleplay purposes, they're trained, they listen to you, they follow commands well, and it also just helps with like your own course with like the turning, you're picking up your gaits, slowing down, etc. So yeah, you can get a maximum point of 15 for your horse's level, 1 point for every level. Your horse's soundness, which is the mood of your horse. If you check your horse's mood right now, it has like that bar, like the gradient bar. So they changed their horse care system, Star Stable did, maybe like a year ago, maybe over a year ago. But if you have a friend, just inspect you and then inspect your horse. They could tell you if the horse's face is green, yellow, orange, red, or the dark red. Because those are the 5 that show up for judges when they check your horse's mood. So green, obviously, best mood your horse can be, most sound your horse can be. Yellow is when you haven't taken care of your horse for, I think, 1 day. I don't know the exact days. Orange is like in the middle of that green bar that you have if you inspect your own horse. Red is to the very end, and then deep red, I think, is if you don't have any of those bars filled in your taking care of your horse. And the dress code, obviously, detailed on our website. If you don't follow it, you lose some points off of your turnout score. But it never hurts to ask if you're ever curious if we allow something in the show. We're pretty lenient when it comes to stuff. Like if we ask for a specific color of something, if it's like, you think it's like a shade too light, shade too dark, it's okay. We're not going to be super picky. Like, that's actually maroon. You can't wear that. That's not brown. We're not going to be like that. If it's close enough to like the general consensus of like what people think the color is, then it's fine. So for courses, which makes up 80% of your score for an over fences class. So remember, 20% for turnout and then 80% for the actual course. So for the course, we judge your turns, your jump, like how you jump the jump, so straight and center, your courtesy circles, halting for equitation and derby classes, and then obviously there's general penalties. So for turns are scored out of 10. It's just your turns overall throughout the entire course. So you want your turns to be smooth and set yourself up to be straight to the jump. You don't want to have to like veer to the right, veer to the left, wiggle in between after your turn. You want your turn to be nice and smooth. So it sets you up well for the jump, to be straight and centered in the jump. Your turns, they don't have to be like, it's like they shouldn't be like a 90-degree angle turn. They shouldn't be like a super sharp turn. You should kind of make it gradual, but not too gradual to the point where like you're basically doing like a fourth of a circle, if that makes sense. But they shouldn't be super sharp turns. We will mark you off if you do super sharp turns. So basically for your turns, you just want to make sure that you set yourself up nicely and make sure that your turns, or like the corners that you create when you're turning, are rounded. Inside turns, if you guys don't know the difference between inside turns and outside turns, inside turns is when you like cut inside jumps instead of going straight to the rail for your turn and then turning once you reach the rail. Inside turns should only be used in our Hunter Derby handy rounds and our equitation medal courses. Lots of people think that you should do handy rounds in the classic. We do not like to see that. At least NALSA doesn't. Other organizations might be different. NALSA does not like to see handy rounds in the classic round of a Hunter Derby. Only in the handy and only in equitation medal courses. We put that in our judging guidelines. I'm basically just reading from the judging guidelines right now. That's on our website. But I must just like kind of going in a bit deeper and explaining things a little bit more. But yes, inside turn should only be used in the Hunter Derby handy round and equitation medal courses. So jumps, the biggest part of your course, the jumps. So each jump is scored out of 10. So you want to make sure that you are perfectly centered with the jump and at a 90-degree angle with it, so you're approaching it perpendicular. So you don't want it to be slightly slanted at all. I have pictures of how we roughly determine scores for the over fences. You can see it once I post once I post this document after the clinic's done. But basically, directly in the center and perfectly straight will give you a 10. It is very hard to get a 10. Almost no one gets a 10 during our shows. It's very rare. To get a 9, you can be like few pixels off to the right, a few pixels off to the left, or you could be perfectly center and slightly crooked. Normally, like, the people who've been competing for like the longest, for years and years, can get like 9s. Rarely get 10s, but 10s sometimes do happen. But 9s are like considered what we think is like the highest you can get. Obviously 10's highest, but it's really, really hard to get. 8s are slightly more off-center than 9s, and also slightly more crooked than 9s as well. 7 to 6 is normally the average score that we give people, or that I see giving the most per jump, or for each jump, sorry. So obviously that means that they're not centered and they're still slightly crooked. 5s or 4s for a jump is they're very, like, it's blatantly obvious they are not centered and they are not straight, so they're very crooked. And then a 1 is if you're doing your jump, it's like slicing the jump. We consider slicing it anything more than like 30 degrees, if you can imagine that, like a 30 degrees from the centered line. We consider that slicing. Obviously, that's not slicing in real life. It's more dramatic in real life, but we consider that slicing in our 100 classes. And if you jump the jump at the wrong gate, sometimes in derbies or equitation classes, we ask you to like trot a jump. We'll never ask you to gallop a jump. That just, it looks funny in Star Stable. But normally we might ask you to trot a jump in a handy course or an equitation course. So if you don't do that, then you'll get a 1. Oh yeah, sorry. 3 to 2 is if your horse's head turns over the jump, regardless of how well you do that jump. So you could be perfectly straight, perfectly center. If your horse's head turns at all, while you're over the jump, you'll get a 3 or 2. Before this last update, it was very obvious when people would turn their horses' heads over the jump, because, you know, our horses' necks used to break when we would turn them too hard. But now it's a little harder to get that because they made the turning a lot more smooth. But still, just don't turn your horse over the jump. That's the main thing. Let's see, courtesy circles. So courtesy circles, people struggle with this a lot. We have diagrams on our website to kind of help with the size of how big your courtesy circle should be. I'll do one right now. Let me go start at this gate. So pretend this gate over here is your in gate or your out gate. You enter the arena at a walk, pick up your trot. Pretend I'm trotting. I'm just speeding this up to go a bit faster. So you're trotting, you're trotting, you're trotting. So you're trotting. So then when I'm about halfway through this courtesy circle, see I'm like kind of halfway if you draw like a line through this oval that I'm making, then I pick up my extended canter through here. And same thing if I were doing a closing circle, I'd be going up my extended canter, and then halfway through that circle or oval, I would go down to a trot. And in courtesy circles, we should not see any canter strides. You should be going immediately up into your extended canter for your course, or whatever gate the course asks you for. We almost never ask for anything other than extended canter. But yes, transitions should be deliberate, so don't like canter for 3 strides. We see people do that and it marks them down a lot of points. Because we want to see you like go immediately into the gate that you're supposed to do for your course. If we see you like take too many canter strides, we think, oh, that horse is lazy for roleplay purposes. We're like, oh, that horse is lazy, that horse doesn't want to listen to its rider. Kind of stuff. For halting, this also got a lot of people at the last show. For halting, normally only ask for halting in equitation classes, rarely in 100 Derby, maybe, but rarely. It's normally just in equitation classes. So you can halt, we normally ask for after a jump, you halt. So 2 to 3 strides after you land, you should start going down to a halt. We need to see the trot, walk, and then a halt. If we see you just slide into that halt, then you are going to lose a lot of points and you will get a 1. Halting is scored out of 5. So yeah, you will get a 1 if we see you just slide into that halt. That's how a lot of people did not get a good score at that last show. And you also need a halt for 5 seconds. We're not gonna have like a timer with us. Just like count to 5 in your head, like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. And then you can go immediately back into the gate that the course asks you to. So remember, big thing for halting is you land the jump 2 to 3 strides after you start going down to a trot, then down to a walk, and then down to a halt. So, and you also want to make sure that you're doing it for long enough that the judge can actually see it, because screen delay sometimes makes the gates transitions a little wonky. So the way you can practice it is just have a friend watch you do those downwards transitions into your halt, and they can let you know if they saw all 3 gates that we need to see. General penalties, sorry. They're all taking off the final score. It's not the 80% that it's taken off of, it's off of the full score that we have, the combined score. So if you get a refusal, it's minus 40 off of your score. 3 refusals at any time during the course is an elimination. This includes random halting on the course. We've had people run into fences, and that counts as a refusal, or as just like a stop. Hitting or knocking a rail. This gets a lot of people in the Baroness's racetrack course. Those jumps are pretty big, so I don't blame them. But if you hit or knock a rail, then you lose 30 off of your score for each rail that you hit. If you go the incorrect gate, so let's say like you randomly slow down to a canter when we ask for an extended canter, you will lose 20 off of your score. And then obviously if you go off course, you are eliminated. I think that's the general rundown of over fences classes. Do you guys have any questions? Can we lower the rails on your screen? Yeah, you can do that. Just it might be a bit of a handicap for you, because you might not be able to see like the centeredness as easily. But if you think you can do it fine without the rails, you're more than welcome to do that, because we can't see that you have the rails knocked down. But yeah, do you guys have any questions for over fences at all? Anything you want me to explain more, or if you have like the striding matter? We've debated on that, because all strides are ridden the same for each breed. Like normally in real life, like the ponies obviously have a shorter stride, horses have bigger strides. So it's really hard to get the incorrect amount of strides. So we're saying no, unless it's written on the course, like the certain set amount of strides, because sometimes we need like something else to judge off of. If there's not enough jumps, and like we think that we need more things to judge off of to make sure that the scores are more separated. But like 9 out of 10 times we're never gonna ask for stride counts, because it's really hard to get the wrong amount of strides. That's 5 to 6 is 48 example. I've seen that. Yeah, that's 3 strides. I only see show call. I don't know why she only sees the show call. Let me check the permissions. Oh. How does screen delay play into straightness to jumps? That's a good question. Sorry, I should have gone over this. So normally if you have a very long approach to a jump, long approach means that you have like a lot of strides in between like your turn and where the jump actually is. Normally if you're straight on your screen and in the center on your screen, you will be straight and centered on the judge's screen. I highly recommend actually, you having a friend watch you do the course, and they tell you if you are straight and centered on their screen. Because if you're straight and centered on your screen, it doesn't always mean that you're straight and centered on the judge's screen, because of screen delay, especially if it's off of turns, or if you don't have a lot of time after a jump, after a turn to be straight and centered. But yes, I highly recommend that you get a friend to watch you do your course, and then you can adjust, like either they're like, oh, you are slightly to the left, and you're like, well, I wasn't on my screen, I was centered. Try slightly adjusting to the right, maybe. And then even if you're off center on your screen, they might be like, oh, you are perfectly centered on my screen. But yeah, that's how you adapt to screen delay for over fences. And being straight, it's kind of difficult. There's a jump in the Golden Hills arena on preset C, the triple bar. That is a jump that is very difficult to get correct. But normally if like a jump is very hard to approach, normally everyone gets like the same score for that. But yeah. I don't know why they can't see this channel. It's not locked. Let's try now. Okay. So, do you have any other questions for over fences at all? Did I miss anyone? Okay. So I'm gonna go to Undersaddle. We updated our judging for Undersaddle this past weekend after the show. So make sure that you guys like go look through that if you haven't already. But Undersaddle, most Undersaddle classes run the same. The only difference is maybe the gate callouts for equitation. And I'll go over gate callouts later. So Undersaddle, you start with 0 penalties. We run on a penalty system for Undersaddle. So you start with 0, and you receive penalties for each error that you make during the class. So it's really all about luck under saddles, which is a little unfortunate, but it's also all about luck in real life as well. So let's say like you make a mistake or someone cuts you off, the judge might not be watching that area when that happens. And I know it can be frustrating, like when you see someone like who cut you off place higher than you, but a judge just might have not been watching at that time. Or like maybe like you broke your gate and you quickly picked it up again. We're like, oh no, did the judge see that? Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. Because normally we only have 2 judges depending on the number of people in the class. But we can only watch so much of the arena at the same time. And we're also constantly switching between our score sheet and our game. And not everyone has the ability to have 2 monitors set up. So most of the time people are tabbing out. Judges are tabbing out of their game or minimizing their game and just like writing stuff down. So it's really basically about luck if the judge saw something or not, and if you have people who know what they're doing in a flat class. Like most times people don't really know how to write a flat class properly, but it's something hard to learn, and the more you do it, the easier it'll be. But there is some people in flat classes who don't know what they're doing. It might be their first time. They don't know what screen delay is. Screen delay is a big thing when it comes to undersaddle classes. So screen delay, if you don't know, you're farther ahead on your screen than other people see you. So you could be like way in front of someone on your own screen, but in reality, like they're right on your butt and you don't know because of the screen delay. So you kind of have to adapt to that. I use a rule of thumb for each gate that I'm going. I keep I start off with 2 horse lengths in between. So like at a walk, I have 2 horse lengths between me and the person in front of me and the person behind me. At a trot, I have 3 horse lengths. Canter 4 and extended canter 5. It's hard to learn. It's hard to kind of visualize it. I know some people, I forget what it's called, but they don't have the ability to like imagine things. Some of my friends have this, and they get very frustrated during flat classes because they can't like imagine the space between them. Visual learning, not visual learning. It's something where like you just can't imagine something. Like sometimes people say close your eyes, imagine an apple. They don't see anything. They just see pitch black. Like some people can see an apple when they say imagine an apple. They can't see anything. They just see pitch black. So I understand like how it can be frustrating if you have that, and it's hard for you to visualize where you might be on other people's screens. But just a rule of thumb: keep start with 2 horse lengths and then keep on adding 1 horse length for each gate that you go up. So aphantasia, that's the word, I think. But red tail ribbons. So red tail ribbons are kind of like a 50-50 in flat classes. It kind of gives you a handicap, but it also penalizes others. So red tail ribbons means that your horse is moody, or it kicks, or it bites. So obviously you want to space yourselves out like far away from other horses, which is hard to do in big flat classes. I understand that, but that's your choice if you want to have your horse wear a red tail ribbon. I only recommend doing that if you are confident in flat classes, like in your spacings and your ability to like maneuver around people, adapting to screen delay. Because you will be more heavily penalized if you get too close to someone and you have a red tail ribbon. Like if you cut someone off, if you're clumping with them, if you pass too close to them. But people who pass too close to you also get penalized more if you have a red tail ribbon. And for obvious reasons, it's gotta keep your space from a kicking horse. But yeah, so if you have a red tail ribbon, you have to keep in mind that you will be more heavily penalized if you do mess up, or if someone else will be more heavily penalized if they mess up near you. Some basic class errors that we see: incorrect gates. That gives you 20 penalties. A lot of penalties. So make sure that you're going the gate you're supposed to be going. That's called out. Pay attention to gate callouts. Some people doze off during flat classes and they're like, oh my gosh, what gate am I supposed to be going? And they panic and they start like cantering around, and we're like, halt, please, a halt. And they're cantering around. I've seen that happen before. Late transitions. So we normally like give like 5 seconds before we start looking for people who haven't transitioned yet, or done their transition. Does lag affect how bad screen delay is for yourself? I think so. I'm not 100% certain, but if we see you lagging, we're not going to penalize you for the lag that you have, because obviously you're lagging. You can't really tell. Judges can tell when you're lagging. So late transitions will give you 5 penalties. Cutting off a rider, screen delay, practice screen delay with a friend, or like at least like 3 friends, so someone can watch you, and you just canter around the arena and just practice like merging onto the rail, passing them, etc. So cutting off a rider will earn you 5 penalties. If you have a red tail ribbon, you will get 10 penalties, and if someone cuts you off and you have a red tail ribbon, that person will get 10 penalties. Once the transition is called, immediately, or at least within 5 seconds, but normally just immediately. Use a spare computer if you have one. Yeah, play on your phone on a spare account, and then look at your laptop, your computer, and watch what you're doing. That's a good way to do it, especially because they came out with mobile a few months ago. Clumping, also that's something with screen delay. It's very hard to learn, so don't be too mad at yourself if you can't get it right off the bat. So clumping will get you 5 penalties. Again, if you have a red tail ribbon and you clump with someone, you'll get 10 penalties. If they like clump with you, they will get 10 penalties. Is mobile available on Android? I don't think so. I don't think yet. I think they're planning to come out with it, I'm pretty sure, but not yet. Small circling, or if you're curling, that will get you 3 penalties. So a general rule of thumb for the size of your circles depends on what gate you're going. So at a walk, you can use 1/8 of the arena. It should be at least 1/8 of the arena. A trot, at least 1/4 of the arena. A canter, 1/3, and then the extended canter, half. I don't really see the point in circling at the extended canter. Either just cut across the arena or go on the quarter line. Speaking of quarter lines, incorrect quarter line. I see so many people ride the wrong quarter line during shows. So if you don't know what a quarter line is, if you imagine the arena, you cut it into fourths. The quarter line is that first quarter section, or the last quarter section if you cut the arena into fourths. But you can have multiple quarter lines. We don't normally. Normally we see like 3 or 4 quarter lines going on at the same time, which is not okay, not ideal. But you won't get penalized as long as you are like actually on some sort of quarter of that, or section of that quarter of the arena. Sometimes we see people like riding down the exact center of the arena, like if you were to cut or fold the arena hot dog style. We see people running down the exact center, and we're just like, what are you doing? That's not a quarter line. That's the center of the arena. But yes, if you ride the incorrect quarter line, you will get penalized 3 penalties. Riding too close to another rider is 2 penalties. So it's like if you're riding up on their tail, if you're passing them and you don't give them enough space, then that's just a couple examples of riding too close to people. So that's 2 penalties. All these are listed on our website, so you don't feel like you have to like memorize these. And if you have a red tail ribbon and you pass too close to someone, you'll get 4. If someone is passing you and they're too close to you, they will get 4 penalties. So being too far, too close to the rail, we see a lot of people do this. Think of real life. You don't want to be right up against the rail, because if your pony like slightly moves to the rail, your foot is gonna come off. Your foot will get stuck on that rail, and your stirrup will come out, and it will hurt a lot. So you want to keep at least fit about 1 horse in between you and the rail. Not horse length, but just like the width of a horse. That doesn't mean that people can like pass you on the outside, obviously. That shouldn't be happening. But you just want to be able to fit 1 horse between you and the rail. If we see you too far inside, away from the rail, then you also lose penalties if you can move out to the rail itself. But yeah, we see a lot of people hugging like inside the rail, like we could see like their character phasing through the fence, and that's not okay. Riding in shrubbery. So I know there's some arenas that have some shrubbery in them, so like the bushes in Golden Leaf. If you ride in that, you will lose you get 1 penalty. It's like in real life, you don't want to run your horse through a bush if you're in a flat class. We kind of like try to use real life examples, so like you wouldn't ride your horse through a bush in a flat class. So riding through the shrubbery will earn you a penalty. Yes, the racetrack as well. Don't go in the bushes in the racetrack. You don't want your horse to get scratched up. Rough corners. So corners should be smooth and rounded. You should not ride your corners too deep. I see a lot of people in square arenas or arenas that have square corners ride deep into the corner. This isn't dressage. This is hunters. You want to be nice, smooth, and pretty. So just make sure you don't go too deep into those corners. They should be nice and rounded and smooth. And another thing you can earn penalties for is talking during your class. We have seen people do this where they yell at other riders. It's not very nice, not very sportsmanship of them. But yes, just do not talk during your flat class. That includes say chat, emoting, club chat. If your judge is in the same club as you, don't talk in club chat, because that still counts. If they can't see your chat, then that doesn't matter. Like if you're in a club that's not with the judges, then talk in club chat all you want. We can't see it. But yeah, just don't talk in say chat. No emoting. Club chat. Just any chat that we can see. Just don't talk there. Because I've had a judge yell at me in real life for talking to my pony during my class, which is not fun. But I learned my lesson. So. So another thing is lineup errors. A lot of people can ride a class really, really well, but then they lose their placing during the lineup. Can you applaud during placings? Yes, of course. You can applaud during placings. So facing the wrong direction. So sometimes we ask for people to line up facing the judges or their backs to the judges, just to throw you off a little bit to see if you're paying attention. So if you face the wrong direction, obviously you'll get penalized for that. Changing directions into the lineup. So what we mean by that is, let's say you're going off the right lead and the judge calls you to line up in the center of the arena. You cannot change your tracks, then you're going off the left lead. Does that make sense? You can always cut your track in to the inside. We beg you to please cut your track into the inside. Don't hug the rail. Please do not hug the rail. It wastes so much time. But you're more than welcome to cut your track to the inside and just make a big loop around into the lineup. Just don't change your direction into the lineup. there's also such thing as taking too long into the lineup. We see a lot of people just stay on the rail and don't cut in when there's tons of open space for them to cut in and create their track a bit shorter. It should take you no longer than roughly 60 seconds. We're not going to time you, obviously. But I took a timer myself and put myself in a situation where I'd have to go all the way around the arena to get into the lineup, and it didn't take me more than 60 seconds because I cut in the arena and made my track smaller. Staying too close to another rider once you're in the lineup, you can earn penalties for that, especially if you have a red ribbon. If you get too close to someone, or if someone gets too close to you, they'll be penalized heavier. Adjusting yourself after you halted, don't do that. Once you have halted, you should stay halted. It's okay if you're slightly crooked, if you're slightly too far ahead, slightly too far back. That's totally fine. We're not going to be mean about that. Obviously, if you're incredibly crooked, like completely sideways, or like 5 miles ahead of everyone, 5 miles behind, or 5 miles to the left, 5 miles to the right, obviously that's a bit, what are you doing? So you'll get a penalty for that if you're way far away from everyone else. But if you're slightly crooked, slightly off center, it's okay. If you're doing a line, if you have a stallion or a red ribbon, is it okay to go to the end 3 horse lengths away from it? Yeah, that's fine. Space yourselves out however you need to if you have a red tail ribbon. Obviously not too far, but it's okay to create distance from yourself and other riders. Talking during the lineup, same thing as the class. Cheering and applauding is allowed during placing announcements. We just ask until we say like we have the placings for your class. We just ask that you don't do any emotes, no talking, just so. Also, because it hides your name tag, and some of our judges are like walking up and down the line to break ties, and we're trying to find your name. If you're talking, we can't see your name. So, and when it comes to tiebreakers, sometimes there's tiebreakers in flat classes, more often than not, honestly. But we go off of the horse's breed first, then the horse's soundness, then I believe it is the dress code. Those are the 3 things we use to break a tiebreaker. If all of those are the exact same, then the judge can just use their preference on whatever they like. So again, flat class is kind of luck if the judge likes your horse or not, likes your outfit or not. It comes down to luck, unfortunately, but there's really no other way to judge flat classes in Star Stable. Turnout, same thing. Breed suitability, level, mood, and your dress code. All of that is in detail on our website. It's basically the same thing as over fences. Just instead of adding to your score, it gives you penalties if it's bad. So like, if you have a breed suitability of 10, you'll get 0 penalties. If you have a breed suitability of 8, you'll get 2 penalties. So breed suitability matters more in the Untitled than it does over fences. Same thing with levels. If you have like a level 15 horse, you get 0 penalties. Level 14, you get 1 penalty. Level 13, 2, etc. But I think that is all for the Undersaddle. I'm pretty sure I went over everything. Do you guys have any questions, or are you curious about anything, or do you think I left anything out? Can you just demo how you line up with your backs to the judge? Yeah, so I'll pretend that you're the judge, so it's okay. We ask that you don't run through the judges, but it's okay if you do. So it's literally you just line up with your backs to the judge. So you can just like walk past your judge and then halt in front of them. Normally in real life, you line up with your backs to the judges because your back numbers are on your back. And normally judges write down numbers and like, instead of people's names, they write down the back number. And this is how they can see the back numbers better and like establish tiebreakers if there's ties in your life. But literally just your backs to the judge. You you come into the lineup behind the judge and then pass your judge and then halt in front of them. Yeah, no problem. Do you guys have any other questions? Because the only thing I still have to go over are gate callouts and then division review, which is pretty straightforward. Okay, so gate callouts. For hunters, it's pretty straightforward. If you go backwards, so this gate, That is a backup or reverse. Halting is halting. This is a walk. This is a trot. This is a canter. And then this is an extended canter. And we will never really ask for a hand gallop, which is the slow gallop, which is this one. And then a full gallop is obviously full speed gallop. But we never really ask for a hand gallop or a gallop. For equitation, back up, reverse, just reversing the horse. Halt is halting. Walking is a working walk. This is a rising trot. This is a collected canter. This gets a lot of people. And then this is a working canter. So that gets a lot of people. And then obviously this is a hand gallop and this is a gallop. But we will never ask for a hand gallop or a gallop. We only ask for those 6 callouts. So backup, reverse, same thing. Halting, a working walk, rising trot, collected canter, then working canter. Normally we try to get people in our equitation canter, equitation classes and ask for a working canter first before we ask for a collected canter to see what people like know the gate callouts and have read through our information and stuff. Collected canter is up 3. 4 is working canter. Yes, up 4 is working canter. And up 3, so I guess our quote-unquote normal canter is our collected canter. Yes, those are gate callouts for our hunter and equitation classes. If you ever forget them, it's all on our website in our judging guidelines. So you're more than welcome to go look at those. I'll just quickly go over our divisions on what we offer and what we can ask in each class. So for equitation on the class, equitation on the flat, we can ask for a backup, a reverse, halt, working walk, rising trot, collected canter, or working canter. Just those 6. We'll never ask for a hand gallop or a gallop. What kind of horses do you require? We don't require horseshoes. If it's not on our dress code, then we don't require them. So you won't get penalized if you don't wear horseshoes. Is there actually a difference between 5 up and 6 up? Yes. One is a slower gallop and one is the fastest gallop. Equitation medal. It says 1 over fences class. That should be ridden with inside turns. It's normally ridden at a working canter, so 4 up. And we can ask for a halt or for you to trot a jump. Yeah, so just keep in mind when we ask for a halt, remember do that trot, walk, then halt. Horse pleasure and pony pleasure. It contains 3 flat classes. So first class is a walk trot, second class is a walk trot canter, and the third class is a walk go as you please class. Go as you please gets a lot of people. Go as you please, you should be either be going a trot or a canter. So either 2 up or 3 up. You shouldn't be walking. You shouldn't be doing an extended canter. We see people walk. Sometimes we see people halt, which is very interesting. But you should either be doing a trot or a canter and do the same gait both directions. If you do different gaits both directions, then you will not, or you'll be automatically bumped down to the bottom of the tier of the placings. So yes, just make sure you either go a trot or a canter. Both are scored the same. You won't like be placed higher if you canter. You won't be placed higher if you trot. One isn't preferred over the other. If it comes down to a tiebreaker, we might choose whichever gait looks best on the horse, so either the trot or the canter. Normally, it's just whichever gait looks the smoothest and fits hunter gaits the best. If you like are ever curious, you're more than welcome to ask and also questions. But remember, each judge is different. Each judge prefers different things. Yeah. Because when I get to 5 up, it doesn't seem to go any faster than pressing 6, so that's been confusing me. Yeah, it's a slight difference. But you don't have to worry about that because we won't really ask for that at all. I don't think we've ever asked for that. I'm going to be honest. I think the only show I've been in is an SSC show, where they asked for a hand gallop, which is like the full gallop. Does the judge tell you when to change directions, or you just decide when to go? IRL goes you please is one of the times it's never done. I've never actually done. No, we tell you when to change directions. Think of go as you please as us asking for you to do like a certain gait, and then we'll be like, walk please, I'll walk, reverse directions, and continue at the walk. But yeah, big thing for Go As You Please, trot or canter, and do the same gait both directions. Lots of people don't do that, and it will lose them the ribbon. Horse hunters and pony hunters, it is 1 over fences class and 1 flat class. Over fences is a normal hunter course, ridden on extended canter, normal outside turns, and then flat classes we can ask for a halt, walk, trot, canter, or extended canter. Again, normal hunter flat class. And then the hunter derby is 2 over fences classes. The first class is a classic round, should be ridden like a normal hunter course. Second class is a handy round. Inside turns are preferred, so handy turns when possible. Obviously, if it's going to be like a jumper turn, don't do it. Don't do the jumper turns in a hunter course, please. Please don't do that. We also might ask for a trot, jump, or a halt. And some people don't know this, but handy rounds are from the top riders from the classic round. So your classic round really, really matters. And we don't give you the course before the show. For the handy round, we only allow you to walk the course on foot, just to give you a bit more challenge, make it a bit more challenging, and really like test your knowledge of your horse and how to turn and stuff. But I think that covers everything. When reversing, how big should your reverse be? Great question. Great question. It should not be. If you guys do stable dressage, it should not be a bear, which is literally just a curl. Like half a curl and then moving back onto the rail. It should be I'm trying to think of a good example, like a good size. Just I'd say like tap your directional key to turn. Just don't make it like a super tight turn. That'll lose you some points. Or give you penalties, sorry. Give you penalties in a flat class. So just don't make the turn super tight. Take your time. Obviously, don't make it too big. Don't go like halfway across the arena just to change directions. But it should be a smaller end on the smaller end of a size circle. But yes, just don't do a curl. Please don't do a curl. To change directions. Okay. Yes, that covers everything that I wanted to go over for this clinic. Again, like I said, it was going to be more of like a lecture clinic, giving you guys opportunities to ask questions, or if you want like a demonstration of something, or if you want to like show me something and you want me to like give you feedback on it, now's the time to do that. Because if there's no questions, or if you guys aren't curious about anything, then that concludes our hunter clinic. And if you guys are competing at finals, good luck. Best of luck to all of you. This recording will go up on YouTube if the file doesn't corrupt. I pray that the file does not corrupt. And I will also link this document in the clinic announcements channel after our clinic's done. Yes, thank you all for coming. I hope you guys have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or night. And if you're competing at NALSA finals, we'll see you there. But have a great rest of your evening or morning to night. Yeah. Bye, guys. Bye. Thanks for coming.